Hey, this is Jamie Wolf with the Message Accelerator and your business and writing coach with Million Dollar Stories. So today is day 2 of pre-training. I opted out for not doing a Facebook Live because I'm a giant chicken and I'm still getting used to some of the technology. I know, blah, 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 excuse. So before I get started on pre-training day number 2, I want to back up a little bit and tell you what the whole point of the training that I'm offering. And the idea around the Million Dollar Story is that a lot of people have written books. They paid a lot of money, perhaps, to get them laid out and designed and published, and perhaps even to hit bestseller. And there's somewhere around, I don't know, over 1 million, maybe 2 million new titles published every year. Not all of those are nonfiction. Not all of those are in the self-help or how-to or self-development space, but a lot of them are, and that's the genre that I care about. I care about because I read copious amounts of life coaching and self-coaching and health books and how-to books and how to improve your finances, and you name it, I study it. And I'm sorry about the background noise. I live on a really, really busy road, and there never seems to be the right time of day to record. So, oh well, I have a life and you're going to hear a little bit of it. And if that's unprofessional, hopefully the information is still valuable to you. So you're a life coach, you're a health coach, you coach about nutrition, you work with people with chronic disease, maybe you're a fitness coach, maybe you're a chiropractor, maybe you're an attorney. It kind of doesn't matter what space you're in as far as an entrepreneur, but you've written a book. And that could be relationships you got through a bad divorce, you got laid off from work, somebody mismanaged your money for you, you got Lyme disease. I mean, you name it, life happens, right? And so those of us who are so inclined tend to want to share that information that we've learned to help somebody else get through something faster. But what I've observed in the book space is that you can go through all the steps to write your story, which is an amazing accomplishment to begin with, and then you get it published, but then what? And a lot of us are still working a full-time job in order to pay all the money in order to get that book published and maybe hit bestseller. But then we run smack into the marketing and the sales, and we don't really know how to do that. And I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about the marketing of a book either. What I'm interested in is how you go ahead and create a sustainable business based on the book that you wrote, or perhaps based on the book you haven't yet written and you want to write. And so the idea is, if you have a brick and mortar, chances are you go into work every day and it's almost like having a job. You haven't really found the way to free up your time. Likewise, if you're doing one-on-one consulting and coaching, you really haven't figured out how to free up your time. So if you go on vacation, that's an opportunity cost. You're not coaching, you're not working. And I don't know if you can hear that, but I rescued a kitten a month ago, and of course it found something to play with now that it's chasing around on the hardwood floors. Darn it all. See, this is why I don't do lives. At any rate, what I really want to do is help people who are interested and who want this create a business out of the book. So there's a thing called a funnel. It's a sales funnel, and it's just like it sounds if you're not familiar with it. So you've probably all seen an opt-in page, also called a squeeze page, also called a landing page. But it's the idea of, can you go put something out there that somebody finds valuable, and you start at the top with a whole bunch of people, and then they come down a funnel, just like it sounds. Right? Can you see me? Come down a funnel, and they filter down. And what you're doing is you're offering the clients who want it higher and higher value. But of course, you're charging them a premium for that opportunity, right? But that's okay, because most of the time they're happy to pay you more because they can actually see the results that they're getting. So when I talk about your $1 million story, it's really 2 parts. The first part is writing your book, and the second part is building your business. And there's this thing that's actually called a book funnel, where the very first thing that you offer in your sales funnel, it's your lead magnet, it's the thing you're giving away that has tremendous value, but you're not charging very many dollars for it, is your book. And my premise is that that story allows people to know, like, and trust you. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the whole thing I'm doing. I'm helping you write your book, tell your story. You overcame some adversity of some sort. You got through something, and now you want to give back. So I'm going to help you tell your story or stories in book form. Go ahead and get it written and published, and then use that as the front offer in your book funnel, and then show you how to go build a whole business and adding value. I call it your solution evolution, how you evolve your solutions that you're offering to your customers and clients so they become raving lifelong fans and they buy everything you have to offer. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. So hopefully that all makes sense of where I'm coming from. So I'm not just a book coach, but I can help you write a book. I am not just going to show you how to do marketing of your book, because there's a lot of effort involved in that, and I'm not sure that it really gets you to the final result that you want, which is a business that suits your life and gives you time freedom and financial freedom and allows you to give back in the way you want to give back, because you built a business based on systems that can be automated. So, what's the free training for today? So yesterday I went through slides. And the reason that I haven't put this in full presentation mode is because, the slides were kind of teasers. They didn't really give a whole lot of information. So I'm going to do it kind of backwards today. We'll run through the slides, just like I talked about yesterday, the whole format of the 2-week masterclass, Your $1 Million Story, Create Your $1 Million Story so people know, like, and trust you. And what you're going to get in that is in 2 weeks, you'll have written a full, complete book outline. And depending on how fleshed out your idea is ahead of time, you could get pretty far in actually writing your book. I keep saying writing isn't hard, and people keep looking at me funny. But if you have a way of doing it, it isn't hard or necessarily all that time consuming. But for sure, you'll have a clear focus on what your book is going to be about and who it's going to be for and how it's going to serve. And you can get the outline done in 2 weeks. And you can also get your business plan done and the shape of your funnel and what your offers are going to be done in 2 weeks' time. So that masterclass is coming up, and the whole thing is going to be formulated so you'll always know what results you're going to get. You'll always know what actions you have to do, the things you have to implement and execute to get those results, and you'll be given a list of resources to make it happen for you. Now, in today's pre-training, we're going to cover 2 things. One is permission to think differently, and 2 is the blocks that you need to break through, specifically all around money. So I want you to rethink what is important in your business and plan to implement a few key strategies. And I'm going to switch over to the free PDF in just a minute, and we'll go through some more details. But traditionally, people think of net revenue as sales minus expenses. And there is a different way to think about it that is much more effective. It also allows you to rethink the idea of growing your business as fast and big as you can, making sure you understand to what end that you want to do that and how it might backfire on you, or how you could do it, go ahead and grow as big as you want, but do it in a smart way so that you've got the margins built in. And then the other thing is, which is your priority? When you want to write a book, do you simply want to hit bestseller, or is bestseller really a means to an end? Is that end a flourishing, consistent, sustainable, profitable business? And if that's the case, and if what you need to have that sustainable business is a very big list of raving fans that don't leave you, then maybe hitting bestseller first isn't necessarily the priority that you need to go after first, right? Probably repeating myself, but anyway. And then one of the things I want you to do this week is choose 1 or 2 of these books to either buy and read, or rent, borrow, go to the library, do a Kindle thing, whatever, or listen to on audio this week. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz he's the basis of everything I'm going to talk about today as far as money. And then there's all these other books, and in the PDF, they're all listed. So I don't need to read them all out for you here. And then I would love it if you're watching this to comment below Team Live or Team Replay. Hi, dogs. I have 3 large ones. Are you ready to implement If you actually chose one or two books and started to read them, it'd be great if you listed which ones. And then go ahead and hit the link in the comment to get the download of the free PDF. All right, so we are going to switch over to the PDF itself. Hello, create your $1 million story so people know, like, and trust you. 14-day strategic masterclass. This is where your story sets you apart, your system set you free, and your sales change lives. Effectively, I want you to be able to write your story, write your ticket, change some lives. And this is just the free pre-training. We have already talked about this. Alrighty. Okay. So I want you to really rethink what's important in your business and plan to implement a few key strategies. So in an oversimplified manner, and I have taken my fair share of accounting courses in business school, traditionally in an oversimplified manner, sales minus expenses equals net profit, right? So you sell 5 lawnmowers, you had to pay to purchase the lawnmowers up front, you had to pay for the salespeople to sell them, you had to pay for your overhead for the showroom, your insurance, all that stuff, and whatever's left over after all your expenses is net profit, and chances are maybe your margins aren't great. If you have a physical product, and if you're like building those lawnmowers, if they're branded to you and there's some special thing, or a vacuum cleaner, your Dyson vacuum cleaner, then sales minus cost of goods sold equals gross profits. And then you figure in taxes and all of that other stuff. And if you got profit divided by sales, gross profit divided by sales is how you calculate your profit margin. And there's all sorts of, what's the word? I'm losing it. There are all sorts of ratios and things of that you want to look at. And it's far more complex than all of this, but that's not relevant for today. So you've got to consider interest on borrowed money and taxes. And in the online world, your expenses are going to include paying for everything you outsource, plus your overhead, plus ad costs, right? So the key here, though, based on Mike's story of Profit First, is the key is to shift your thinking and your behavior in 2 important ways. Number 1, I want you to shift the equation so it's sales minus profit equals expenses. And then you're going to cap your expenses in order to prove your business efficiency. So I think I have an example of all of this. All right, so you're going to decide in advance to divide every dollar that comes in as follows. You got 20% to taxes. I am not a lawyer. I am not an accountant. When you're doing your business, you need to go ahead and make sure you talk to the experts and make sure that you're doing everything correctly so that you don't get caught short. But for this example, out of every dollar, 20 cents is going to go to taxes. 20 cents is going to go to yourself as your key employee, because honestly, you're the brains of the outfit, right? And so if you were hiring someone who is the brains of the outfit, you would do your darndest to keep them around by giving them a good compensation package of a great salary, certainly a competitive salary, promise of bonuses, good vacation pay, maybe a 401k, maybe some profit sharing, whatever else, right? So you are that key employee. So why on earth wouldn't you pay yourself well enough to keep yourself around? And frankly, that's what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is they burn out because they, quote, pay themselves last, which means often there is no money left over to pay yourself at all. And so, you pay your lease, you pay your utility bills, you pay your employees, you pay your insurance, you're paying the loan on the equipment, whatever else you've got going on. And gosh, there's no money left at the end of the week or the month. And so you eat it. And you go, oh, well, it's sweat equity, it's owner's equity, it's okay, I'm building this up, I can delay gratification, but you still got bills, you've still got your kids to go to school or paying for braces for somebody, or maybe you've got an elderly parent and you're footing the bill for them or whatever. We all have life and we still have bills. And so the stress that is created on you or in your relationship because you are paying yourself last is awful. So we're not going to do that anymore. You're going to take 5 to 10 cents on the dollar to yourself as owner's earnings, and you're going to put that in a bucket and then pay yourself quarterly. And that leaves 45 to 50% to the business for all operating expenses. And honestly, when you're first starting out, you might want to hedge that a little more towards 55% going to the business for operating expenses. And as you grow in revenue, then you can back off and maybe make it closer to 40%. So let's look at the numbers. If you've got $50,000 in annual sales, that means you're setting aside $10,000 a year for taxes. And frankly, you might want to pay those monthly or quarterly. You're setting $10,000 aside for yourself. You're setting $2,500 to $5,000 in bonuses and $25,000 to $27,500 for operating expenses. So that doesn't sound like much, right? That still sounds like you're really living on the edge, which is true. But if you've got $50,000 in sales, you know you can scale it. So getting from 0 to 50,000, that's a hump. Once you got to 50,000, you can scale. So let's just use this as a model, all right? All right, so let's go ahead. I want to make sure that I went. Yep, okay, I didn't skip a page. So let's scale. Let's say now you've got $1 million in annual sales. That leaves 200,000 set aside for taxes. That may need to be more or less, but there may be more write-offs than you can take at this point. You're going to have $200,000 in annual salary for yourself. So that's like, not bad each month that you're taking home in your own take-home pay, plus $100,000 in quarterly dividends, and then $500,000 for operating expenses. So just imagine how fast you can grow your business if you've now got $500,000 to invest in scaling. That tells me you're not going to stay at $1 million in sales for very long. You're going to blow right past it, right? Because you got $500,000 to put back in ads, especially with an online business, because I'm going to show you how to cover the cost of your customer acquisition. So once you've done that, pretty much everything else you do, if you do this right, is margin. It's profit. Okay, so here's another caveat. And this is what I was saying about, is it really important to grow and grow big and grow fast? Yes, I just talked about how you can do that, especially with an online business, managing your overhead. But here's the discipline that you're going to employ. You are never, ever, ever going to borrow from another pot to pay expenses. So you're just going to get more efficient. So in the prior example where you only had $5,000 for expenses, rather than borrow from another place, you were going to make darn sure you could be incredibly efficient to make that $5,000 count. And then in this case, you got $500,000. Well, it is easy to get less efficient and start buying the really expensive office furniture, which isn't necessary because a chair is a chair. Or in my case, I'm just standing up, don't even need the chair. But the idea is you don't ever rob one pot to pay another. You figure out how to make sure your business is running from operating expenses. And if your expenses are exceeding what you've allotted, you don't go get more money, you get more efficient. And you always, always pay yourself first. And when you do that, you will always run a profitable business. So I want you to also know that for the first few ad campaigns that you run, you may not break even immediately, but that once you acquire your customers, everything else you sell them will be close to 100% profit. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, let's talk about it. So a self-liquidating offer is designed to be your front-end offer. So I am talking about funnels. So that big front-end offer where you're going to get lots and lots and lots of people into your funnel, it's going to be used to pay for your client acquisition. So let's say you're doing a music class for moms and toddlers, and you want to get a whole bunch of people in the gate and give them an afternoon out to have, a half an hour come see your studio and play with all the different instruments and see how the kids love interacting with each other and stuff like that. And then after they have that free afternoon gathering, perhaps you're going to sell them, a monthly membership so they can come every weekend for 3 months or something like that. And then for the ones who seem particularly inclined to be musical, you might sell them some music lessons for, some higher dollar amount. But the whole purpose behind the self-liquidating offer is to get customers in the door, because once they are your client and they know you, the only thing you're doing after that is building up your know, like, and trust factor. And then we're going to keep going.